I have put together in this video 30 brutally honest Christian dating tips that you absolutely need if you want to date well. But before I start this video and give you the playbook so you have everything that you need to date and marry well, first I have to say a little disclaimer. I'm going to present this information as if I were presenting it to my younger self. I'm going to be very direct and very upfront. I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm going to speak to you as if you were me from 10 years ago, because this is stuff I needed to hear and needed to hear directly. So if you can handle it, then let's jump right in and look at tip number 1. The first brutally honest truth is that nobody owes you a spouse. No one owes you a spouse. If you want to get married, you have to be the type of person who's virtuous enough, who's appealing enough, who's put together enough to have a wife or a husband. If you actually want to get married, there are things that you need to fix starting today so that you're even ready to enter into a relationship like that. Yes, God has predestined who you're going to marry. Yes, God paves the path. God controls all the circumstances, etc. But you have to do your part. If you are not actively working on yourself to make yourself attractive, virtuous, somebody who is actually able to date and to date well, you're not going to find your spouse probably. No one is owed a spouse. Get out there and start working for it. It's a prize. And this leads me right into point number 2, brutally honest, but no one cares how holy you are if you're ugly. Listen, God judges the heart, but women don't. Typically, what somebody looks like is a reflection of who they actually are. And God himself has ordained that whenever people are dating, there are certain rules and certain skills that you have to have in place to be able to date well. So holiness is not something that you can have or not have. Holiness is absolutely essential. But if you want to be a holy husband, then there are certain skills that you have to have in place so that you can date and date well and find a Christian wife. Just like if you wanted to be a holy basketball player, you would have to be holy, yes, but you'd also have to be able to dribble and shoot and pass the ball. Or if you wanted to be a holy businessman, yes, you have to be holy, but you also have to be able to sell, to market, etc. So if you want to be a holy husband, yes, you have to be holy. But also there are certain skills that you have to have in place to at least a good enough degree, or else you're not going to be good at playing the game of getting a wife. Disclaimer on this, look, everybody's given different cards. Everybody has different insecurities. Some people are insecure about their height. Some people are insecure about their nose. Some people are insecure about their teeth. We all have insecurities. It's not your job to wish that you had something that you don't have. It's your job to play the hand that God himself has dealt you and play it to the best of your ability. So try to highlight your good features, minimize your bad features, and go forward with confidence knowing that God is with you. Tip number 3, this one is so important. Stand up straight. If you are a man and you want to attract a woman, she's going to be making judgments about you before you even open your mouth, before you even start the conversation. How are you standing? Are you slouched over with your arms crossed like this, looking down? That's not approachable. She's probably not going to want to have a conversation with you. Are you standing up, looking alert with your shoulders back, using a firm, deep, manly tone of voice? I mean, what are you doing? Are you laughing? Pay attention to the way that you stand and to the way that you're presenting yourself. Because somebody that's like this is not going to be approachable and not going to be somebody who women want to have a conversation with. So we have to make sure that our posture is good and reflecting the fact that we can carry ourselves. Because if we can't even carry ourselves well, how are we going to carry the additional weight of a wife and children? So make sure that you are presenting yourself well. Because what women determine as an attractive or an unattractive man has to do, yes, with how heavy they are, how much weight they have, with their facial structure. But even more than that, women will judge if a man is attractive or not based on how well they carry themselves. How's their posture? Is their beard nicely trimmed? Do they have a good haircut? I mean, all of these things factor in. What are they wearing? Do they look sharp? If you look sharp, odds are women will think that you look attractive. So make sure that you are carrying and presenting yourself well. Tip number 4. Get healthy or stay single. If you are going to be a man or a woman who enters into a marriage and starts to have kids, you need to make sure that you are very healthy entering into that relationship. Because whenever kids come, sleep goes. You can go back and look at some of my old videos and you can tell that right after we have a kid, I gain a little bit of weight and my face starts to break out because I'm tired. I'm so tired all the time. I'm not sleeping well, so I'm not recovering well after my workouts. And when I'm tired, my willpower is weaker, so I make bad eating decisions. I get unhealthy. It feels like bloated and my face breaks out. You can go back and look at those videos. That's what's going on there. Luckily, I entered into our marriage in really good shape. And so even though my energy, my health all took a dip and they were tanking a little bit, it didn't break our family because my wife and I both were very healthy going into the relationship. My wife actually had a thyroid disorder before we got married. And through a few years of hard work, dieting, very, very intensely taking certain supplements and medicines, she ended up curing herself of Hashimoto's. Now she's cured, she's good, she's healthy. And she is actually somebody who's able to handle the burden of having 2 kids, lots of sleepless nights, lots of chores, lots of patience. Your physical health determines how good of a spouse you are capable of being for your husband or wife. And not to be vain here, none of this is vanity. This is just pointing out the rule book that God himself wrote for dating. People that have certain skills excel in dating. Just like people who have certain skills excel in basketball. If you can dribble, shoot, pass well, and you have a good understanding of the game, you'll be a good basketball player. If you can do these things that I'm talking about in this video well, then you'll be good at dating and eventually, hopefully, good at being a husband or a wife. But my wife, prior to me meeting her, she lost 20 pounds and cured herself of this thyroid disorder. It was absolutely incredible. She put a ton of hard work into it. So that by the time I met her, she was absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And I was very attracted to her right off the bat. If I had met her 2 years ago, before the time when we actually did meet, and she was still 20 pounds overweight, once again, I'm not being vain here. This is just the way that it works, is the initial attraction between a man and a woman is almost always sparked by some physical attraction. And then you go deeper and see if there's any emotional compatibility, etc. But my wife put a ton of hard work in. She lost that weight. She got herself healthy. She cleared her skin up. And then I stepped into the picture right when God planned it, right when God timed it. And that's whenever we fell in love and got married very quickly. So if you're listening to this, I want you to know that regardless if you're a man or a woman, you can radically change your appearance. You can lose 20 pounds. You can get rid of the acne that you have. You can do all of that. Now, you need to seek out help medically, possibly, as my wife did. You need to be intentional. You need to be very focused. It's going to be hard work. It is not going to be easy. But people who have been in worse positions than you have figured it out. And if you want to, you can as well. You can do this. You got this. Tip number 5, and this is a big one. Pray like your life depends upon it. If you want to be a man or a woman who's able to enter into the holy sacrament of matrimony well, you have to have an intentional, devoted, focused prayer life. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And if you feel like you're somebody where you're just longing for marriage and it hurts you and it's crippling and it's all you can think about, then you need to do what my lovely, wonderful, perfect wife did. Before she met me, we were 25 when we got married, 24 when we started dating. Before she met me, several times she had such a longing on her heart for marriage, but just couldn't find the right man. She went into the chapel, went to Jesus, and just prayed before the Blessed Sacrament and wept, cried her heart out and told Jesus, look, Jesus, I want to be married so bad, but I want what you want more than I want what I want. I sacrifice this to you. She put it up on the altar with Jesus. And lo and behold, not long after, we ended up meeting and getting married. So if you have struggles and you feel like you're anxious about this, or you feel like you're far from the Lord, make sure that you are praying like your life absolutely depends on it. Pray like your marriage absolutely depends on it, because it does. Tip number 6, date to marry or don't bother. What do I mean by that? Well, if somebody's been dating for 6 years or engaged for 3 years, all they're doing is putting themselves in a near occasion of sin. Now, obviously, if somebody's in college or in the doctoral program, getting their PhD, whatever, perhaps there are times and places where it's prudent to have a longer engagement or longer dating period. That's fine. I get that. However, ordinarily, if everything is there, everything is good enough, your finances are put together enough, your health is put together enough, everything is good enough, then get the job done. Stop putting yourself chronically in these temptations where a woman who you're dating, because you think she's beautiful and sexually attractive, is going to be spending lots of time with you over and over and over and over again for the course of years. That is a near occasion of sin. We can act like it's not. That's fine. We can pretend. We can throw the wool over our eyes. We can do that. Great. No, listen. If you are chronically spending time with a woman who you want to marry because you think that she is sexually attractive and beautiful, and you are spending lots of time with her over the course of years, you are putting yourself and your bride-to-be in a near occasion of sin. Engagements should be as short as possible, as short as is prudently possible to eliminate this near occasion of sin. Same thing for dating. The dating process is not we're going to hang out, we're going to really develop our friendship, and then we're going to see where. No, you should be dating intentionally. Now, obviously, on the first date, you don't go up to somebody and say, "How many kids do you want?" Right? Like, you can be loose, be fun, have a good time. But after about a month of dating, if you're with that person, then it's time to start having some serious conversations and trying to figure out if this woman or man is compatible for you or not, so that you're not wasting everybody else's time. Because if you want to get married, the prime time for dating is in your early 20s, which means you have a very finite amount of time where your dating is as fruitful as possible, where your discernment can go as quickly as possible and as well as possible. And if you're just spending 3 years with somebody, dating them without intending to marry them, you are wasting their valuable and precious time, and you are wasting your own. Date to marry or don't bother. Be intentional about dating. Don't be creepy on the first date. I'm not saying that, but be intentional with the time that you're spending with this person. Don't waste her time. Don't waste your time. Number 7, lead her or lose her. This is so important. I can't stand whenever women are these spiritual heads of the house because the men are too feckless and too weak to step up and lead their family in saying grace before the meal. You have to be a man who is capable of leading both on a material and natural level and spiritually. And you have to start doing that in your dating life. You should be the man suggesting, "Hey, why don't we go to mass and then go get dinner afterwards? Hey, what are you doing Saturday morning? Let's go to confession, and then after that we can go on a hike." You need to be the one who's giving her the occasions that she needs to grow spiritually. You need to be leading her spiritually. Obviously, you can't force her to be holy. You can't do that. But you can put her in situations where she, with the grace of God, can make herself holy. That's what you need to be doing, is leading her closer to God ultimately. And that leads right into the next one, which is chastity or nothing. Look, if you have not been free from filth on the internet for at least 3 months, you are nowhere near being able to date a woman chastely. Whenever you are dating a woman, you're essentially auditioning to be her husband. And what is a husband? A husband is somebody who protects the dignity, the chastity of his wife. A husband is somebody who defends the purity of his wife and children. And if you can't even remain chaste yourself, how are you going to protect your wife from anyone? If you can't protect your girlfriend from yourself, from your own lust, then how are you going to protect her from anyone else? While you're dating, the number one thing that you are defending your girlfriend from is yourself. You have to be totally free from all filth on the internet for at least 3 months before you are able to step into that role and start discerning if you're capable of being this woman's husband or not. Get chaste or die trying. Number 9, this one's also very important. Pray together or break up. If you are not comfortable praying with the woman that you're dating, if you don't want to, if you feel like it's awkward, you need to get over that. You need to be praying very intentionally with the woman who you're dating. Otherwise, it's just not going to go well. If you're not including God in the relationship, what's going to happen? It's not rocket science here. You have to be intentional about welcoming God into the relationship. It takes 3 to get married. It takes a man, a woman, and God himself, Jesus Christ, the blessed Son of God. So make sure that you and your partner are praying together and praying together chronically. And if you want to take this to the next level, what you do is you pray the rosary with your girlfriend or boyfriend. Because one of the promises of the rosary is signal graces, which means that God, either through an interior sign or an exterior sign, is going to reveal his will for your life to you. And if you're dating somebody, you're praying the rosary daily, it'll be easy to tell, yes, this person is the one that God wants me to marry, or no, this person is not the one that God wants me to marry. I did this, and this is how I was able to ask my wife to marry me, get engaged after only 6 weeks of dating. God made it blatantly obvious that my beautiful, wonderful wife was the one for me. Number 10, be a man, not a nice guy. There's nothing wrong with being kind and polite. There's nothing wrong with deferring to the desires of other people when it's reasonable. Those are all good qualities to have. However, as a man, you need to be somebody who is a leader. You need to be somebody who has a spine, a backbone, who has the ability to say, no more after this. You have to be a man who can control himself. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to control, to run, to discipline, to lead your family to God. You have to be able to be a man of discipline. And what does that mean? Well, it means in part, lift weights, eat right, do all the things that you're supposed to do naturally on your own before you are able to help inculcate those virtues into your wife and children. A quick story. One of my friends moved out here, was a skinny guy, great guy, skinny guy, started lifting weights with me, was lifting for a few months, put on probably about 10 pounds, was looking a lot better, shoulders back, chest out, looking good, looking real good. And lo and behold, shortly thereafter, he met his wife. Why? Because your physical attributes reflect something about how virtuous you are. Somebody who has the virtue of temperance very well is going to be healthy. They're not going to be overweight. Somebody who has the virtue of fortitude very well is probably going to be strong. They're going to look like a strong person who has lots of fortitude and courage. So don't be a nice guy, be kind, but don't be a nice guy, be a man. Number 11, this one's super important, is you have to find good Catholic women where good Catholic women are. Do you want to know where good Catholic women probably aren't? Tinder, Hinge. I'm not saying they can't work. I know people who they've worked for. However, all you're doing on those apps is putting yourself in a near occasion of sin, because we all know that women who are on those apps probably aren't the most modest. And all you're doing is habituating your mind to think that women are disposable. And there's always another one. And you can just swipe, 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 swipe until you find whatever it is that you are looking for. You need to meet Catholic women where Catholic women are. For me, this meant that I had to leave my home in southern Indiana and move all the way out here to Phoenix, Arizona, where there are many, many beautiful young Catholic women. And eventually, very quickly actually, I found the one that God had destined for me. Jessica, we got married, beautiful family. It's been the best experience of my life, best decision of my life. I love being married so much. It's literally the greatest. Even on the bad days, it's wonderful. So you have to be somewhere where Catholic women are. That may mean signing up for Candid, which is a dating service I did a video on recently. It may mean moving to another city where there are more women for you to meet so that you can find the one that God has destined for you. It may mean a lot of things, but you need to be places where Catholic women are so that you don't end up looking for something that isn't there. Number 12. This is brutally honest dating advice, but you need to be prudently honest when you're dating. You need to reveal things that need to be revealed so that she has all the information she needs to make a prudent decision on her side. You don't need to overshare or to burden her with the sins of your past if it's not something that directly affects her decision on whether she should marry you or not. Don't hold things back. Don't hide things, but also don't overshare and just vomit whatever is on your mind to her. Be honest, and also be honest about your expectations for the future. Are you somebody who wants to have pets? Are you somebody who wants to have a giant family? Are you somebody who wants your wife to be a homesteader? Be honest and open about your expectations and desires pretty early on so you don't waste people's time, and you know if this person is somebody that God has put in front of you for a reason, or if this is somebody who you should say, all right, it was nice to meet you, but I'll see you later. Number 13, respect her, or else you are useless. This is important. What does it mean to respect the woman that you are dating? Well, even if you're not dating, this comes into play. Don't watch Netflix shows that have steamy scenes. Don't follow Instagram models who are dressed immodestly. It's cheating. It's just cheating on your wife. That's all that it is. It's cheating on your future wife. It's fornication. It is sin. You need to take very, very, very tight control of your senses. Meaning what? You might have to delete Netflix. You might have to delete Instagram. It's not good for you. And if you can't handle yourself and you can't only watch those shows that are going to be chaste and modest and not going to fill your memory and your imagination with garbage, you just need to get rid of them. Gone forever until you're able to actually use them appropriately. This is the way that it works. When your guardian angel wants to inspire you to pray, your guardian angel will take what's in your memory and your imagination, bring forward certain thoughts, and then encourage you to think that way and to pray. That's what happens. And if a demon wants to tempt you to lust, a demon is going to go into your memory and imagination, pull out those things that are going to inspire you to lust, and put those on your mind and say, think about this, think about this, think about this, and try to draw you into sin. So whenever you're scrolling through Instagram, looking at Instagram models, or on Netflix watching basically softcore you know what, well, all you're doing is giving the demons a ton of material to work with so that they can tempt you whenever they want. Only let good things, chaste things, modest things into your memory and your imagination. Only let good things into your senses. This is how you respect women. This is how you learn to respect your future bride. Number 14, holiness is not optional. If the woman that you're dating is not by herself pursuing a relationship with Jesus Christ, you should not be dating her. It's not your job to save her. It is not your job. It is Jesus's job to save her. And if she is not seeking Christ the Savior on her own, there will be nothing you can do to help her to grow in holiness. What does this mean? Does she go to Mass on Sundays even if you're not there? Does she go to confession regularly even if you're not forcing her to? Does she pray the rosary on her own even if you're not there with her? If the answer is no to all those questions, she's not ready for marriage. You should dump her even if you are ready for marriage, because it's not about you and her. It's about you leading her to God and her leading you to God. And if you're trying to marry somebody who's not willing to be led, no, it's just not going to work. Make sure she has prioritized her own holiness. Then you can go into a relationship knowing that it may end in marriage. Number 15, super important. Plan dates that are not sin traps. What does that mean? You should never go on a date where the plan is to Netflix and chill. That is not something Christians are able to do in good conscience. You should go on a date where you go to a restaurant, you go to a park, you go on a hike. You're in a public place where there's not going to be any near occasions of sin. You're going to be able to have conversations and be able to get to know one another without potentially jeopardizing your eternal salvation. Be very, very careful about putting yourself in situations where you're going to be alone with the other person, or where you're going to be with the other person late at night, or where you're going to be with the other person behind closed doors. Avoid those situations as much as is possible because they are near occasions of sin. If you're dating this person, you're dating them because you think that they are beautiful, and you want to be put in a room behind a closed door with this person who you're not allowed to touch in certain ways, who you think is beautiful. No. Listen, that is a bad idea. Do not do that. Plan your dates prudently. Public places, open doors, no Netflix, no chill, bad stuff. Number 16, this one is important, but it needs to be implemented prudently. Learn the other person's love language, which just means what? Learn what means something to them. Does the other person feel like they're heard and understood and affirmed whenever you use your words to compliment them and to tell them that they did a good job on something? Does the other person feel heard and affirmed and loved whenever you give them gifts or whenever you do an act of service for them? Figure out what means something to the other person, and then prudently try to incorporate that into your dating. Because during dating, you are basically foreshadowing, you are precursoring, if that's a word, your marriage. And the way that you pursue somebody when you are dating them is indicative of how you're going to pursue them when you are married. Because as a married man, the pursuit never stops. I am always trying to win my wife every day through acts of kindness, through being gentle with her if she's tired and fatigued, through Mother's Day was just this Sunday, so I bought her flowers, just little things like that, where you're actively throughout the entire relationship pursuing her and trying to figure out how you can pursue her in a way that's going to be meaningful and beautiful to her. So try to learn that early on in the relationship and then do that prudently. Obviously, you're not married, so there's certain things you can't do, but do that prudently throughout the relationship and take that skill. And then when you do get married, carry it over into your marriage. Number 17, respect her family, even if they're a mess. Until you marry the woman that you are dating, her father is her head. And even if her father is a mess, even if her father is not living the Christian virtues, even if her father is not exactly where you'd want him to be spiritually, you need to be respectful to her parents and you need to be respectful to her family. You need to try to have a good foot in the door for these people who maybe aren't practicing Christians so that you can help to show them through the beauty of your life, through the beauty of your love for this woman that you're dating, what it looks like to actually be a servant of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Number 18, check for real compatibility. What does that mean? Well, any virtuous man and any virtuous woman, if they're Christian, can get married and have a good marriage. It just can happen. It just works that way. If somebody's a really virtuous Christian and another virtuous Christian, they can get together, they can get married, they're going to be just fine. But if you want the marriage to really be enjoyable and to be something that lasts with that compatibility, with that chemistry over the long run, you need to make sure you and your future spouse have real compatibility. Not just chemistry, not just butterflies, not just you think the other person's very attractive and so you look over their faults, but do you enjoy doing the same things? Do you enjoy having the same types of conversations? Does your humor match up? Do the fun things, the hobbies that you guys like to do match up? All of these things, the way that you have conversations, the types of activities that you do, all of these things are going to factor into your compatibility in the long run. So the more of these check marks that you can hit, the easier it's going to be to maintain a good and healthy friendship with your spouse over the long run. Because the butterflies, the emotions, all of that is eventually going to fade, at least to some degree, in your marriage. And what's going to be left is who you actually are and who they actually are, and if those two persons are compatible. So look, discern if your spouse, your future spouse, has those features that you want to spend time with. Number 19, this may not be a rule for everybody because I've seen this work in the past, but it's a rule for 99% of you. Do not flirt to convert. Do not date to convert. If you are going to marry somebody, what that means is that you are going to be her head, her husband, her leader for the rest of your life. And if you are leading someone that doesn't even agree with you about fundamental aspects of the faith, then she's either going to rebel against you because she'll disagree with your decision, or she's going to submit to you reluctantly, which is just the seeds of dissent. That's not something anybody wants. Think about it. If you're going to marry a woman, and God forbid you have fertility issues in the future, maybe she wants to use IVF because Protestants are not anti-IVF generally. Maybe you don't. Well, what do? Maybe she wants to decide to space out the births of children using contraception. As a Catholic, you can't do that. What do? Maybe she wants to send your kids to this private school and you want to send your kids to a Catholic school. What do? Every single decision of your life should be informed by your faith. And if you and your spouse don't share the same faith, it's going to be a catastrophe. It's going to be a train wreck. I'm not saying it can never work. Obviously, the church will marry people even if they have different faiths at times. But it's going to make everything harder and more difficult for 50 years until one of you passes away. Number 20, forgive fast or fail. While you're dating, things are easier than they're ever going to be again. That's the easiest it gets is when you are dating. So if your girlfriend or boyfriend offends you, if there's something that they say that you don't like, learn to forgive them fast. Now you need to be prudent when you're discerning and make sure that the character traits of your significant other are not something that's indicative of a huge problem that's going to destroy your marriage later on. But you need to be gentle and forgiving and overlook their faults as much as possible. Do not hold grudges. Even if you break up with somebody because they have some fault that's going to destroy a marriage later on, it's not because you're angry at them, you're holding a grudge against them. You just recognize you have this problem, and this is not something that I want in my marriage. Therefore, we are breaking up. Do not hold grudges. Learn to forgive one another and learn early on. Number 21, get your money together. What does that mean? Well, as a man, who's going to be a husband and father, you are morally obligated to the degree that it's reasonably possible to provide for and protect your wife. That includes financially. You are morally obligated to provide a home for her in which she can raise your children. That is the system that God set up. The man is the breadwinner. The man brings home the bacon, and the woman stays home and raises the children. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to this. Obviously, you have to be prudent with the way that you're making decisions. Everybody gets a different set of cards. Everybody has their own lives to live. But the general system and what you should be aiming for as a Catholic man who loves his wife, his future wife, you should be aiming for the ability to make enough money to provide for your wife to stay home. Your goal as a Catholic man, as a Christian man who's entering into marriage, should be to retire your wife as soon as possible. Why? Well, because one, your wife is going to be happier because she was literally designed for motherhood. That's what God designed women for, motherhood. Two, your children are going to grow up to be whole, integral people who are emotionally well-formed and intellectually well-formed and are able to participate in society well because their mother was home to spend time with them and to inculcate virtue into them. This is the way that it works. Be doing everything you possibly can as a man to get to a point financially where you are capable of retiring your wife, your children, and your grandchildren will thank you. You may have to be creative because it's crazy right now. You may have to get a second job. You may have to get a side hustle. You may have to quit your current job, learn some skill that you can leverage for money, and then learn how to sell it. You may have to do some things that appear a little bit crazy, but you need to be doing everything you can to provide an environment in which your wife and children can flourish in virtue. And generally that means retiring your wife. Number 22, if you are a man, keep your Catholic bros close. Your guy friends who are good and holy Christians who are living the faith are going to be able to give you useful advice as to if this woman is good for you or not. Your judgment is going to be clouded by the hormones, the love, the endorphins, all of these things that you'll be feeling whenever you're first dating someone. So you need to have good, close friends who can help you to go through this discernment process. And if you're Catholic, it would be very helpful to consult a priest or a spiritual director and ask them for advice moving through the dating process. Number 23, read good Catholic dating material. If you are filling your mind for 20 hours a week with Netflix, TV, Instagram, and all of these unrealistic or harmful expectations are being imposed upon you about what dating is supposed to look like, and then you try to have a relationship with a woman, no. You need to make sure that you are informing yourself, that you are getting knowledge about dating that's actually good and wholesome and useful and not going to be destructive and send you and her to hell. How do you do that? There are several resources I would recommend. Father Ripperger has a great video on courting and dating. Jason Everett has all kinds of great material on Catholic dating and what that should look like. But you need to make sure that you are reading, studying how to actually date well as a Christian. If you want to read a book, 3 to Get Married by Venerable Fulton Sheen is a wonderful book. I actually have never finished it, but many of my friends have read it and they said it's one of their favorite books about dating. So you need to make sure that you are studying how do you actually do this dating thing well, because the church offers us a blueprint, it offers us guidelines, it offers us parameters. So we have to make sure we're doing that well. Number 24. I've already said this a little bit, but it bears repeating because it's that important. Filth on the internet will absolutely destroy your marriage before it even happens. And if you're addicted to filth on the internet and then you get married expecting it to go away, it does not. You have to be totally clean from all filth on the internet, from all of that garbage, disgusting, deplorable garbage, free for at least 3 months before you're able to even have a chance to look at a woman chastely as a sister in Christ and not as an object to be used. Because whenever you enter into the marriage, if you expect your wife to make you happy and to satisfy you and to just make everything that you want happen, it's an unrealistic expectation. Only God himself is able to satisfy the human heart, and every created material good that you try to use to satisfy that longing is just going to leave you angry and bitter. So you have to make sure that your priorities are straight prior to entering into marriage. And one of the things you have to get right is get rid of all filth on the internet, 100%, all of it. for at least 3 months before you start dating and considering marriage. Number 25, this is important. Grow up emotionally. Not everything that somebody says is a personal attack on you. Not everything that goes wrong is because of you. Stop being a child emotionally. Recognize that you need to be mature. And part of maturity is having emotional stability. If somebody insults you slightly, says something that you don't like, one, you need to learn to forgive, give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they didn't mean it. Look on it as charitably as possible and move on smiling. Don't hold grudges. Two is make sure that your emotions are under control and that your mind is trying to direct your emotions and your emotions aren't trying to direct your mind. Look at a situation, figure out, is it reasonable to feel this emotion or that emotion, and then try to feel the one that's actually reasonable. If you feel like your emotions are totally out of whack, you get angry easily, you get impatient, annoyed, frustrated easily, sorrow, despair, whatever emotion it is, you have to get that under control prior to marriage, especially if you're a man, because as a man, you are the emotional foundation for the entire rest of your family. And if you are a cracked foundation, if you're not able to provide that stability for your wife and children, your house is going to be chaotic and the demons are going to have a heyday picking on you and your wife and your children. So be emotionally mature and stable. Number 26, God's timing is not your excuse. Whenever you are discerning, what that literally means, dis means this, and then cern means cut. When you are discerning, you are cutting off every other option except for the one that you choose. Whenever you get married, you are sacrificing, you are cutting off every other potential relationship that you could ever have with any other woman for the rest of your life. It's a big deal. So make sure that you are discerning well. When you're dating this woman, keep asking yourself, is this something that you should be doing or not? And keep taking steps to figure out if this is the woman you're supposed to marry or not. Don't stall out in your dating where you're just comfortable where you're at. And so you keep dating and dating and dating and dating. And 6 years goes by and there's still no ring. Women hate that. Men hate that. I hate that. You need to be intentional that whenever you are dating, every day, you're going down the road. You're making progress to figure out if this woman is for you or for not. And if you're single, stop sitting in your room and saying that, yeah, God's going to provide a wife. God's going to provide a wife. Okay, maybe he will, but he also needs you to do something to make that happen. God can't drive a parked car. So be active, be intentional, use the energy, the gifts, the grace, the situations, the circumstances that God has given you, the opportunities. Use all of those to the best of your ability, and then God is going to drive you and steer you in the direction that he wants you to go. Number 27, this one is important. Pursue her relentlessly. What does that mean? It means that when you're dating, you need to be pursuing her. Obviously, in the beginning, be very prudent. Don't be throwing everything at her immediately. Be coy, be fun, be open, be light. But as you continue to get into the relationship, especially right before you get married, don't get comfortable. Never get comfortable in your relationship. Never take your foot off the gas, but constantly be pursuing her. This should be very easy. This shouldn't need to be said for people who are dating for a short period of time. But in your marriage, after a year or two, you need to be intentional about continuing to pursue her, because the masculine spirit dies where pursuit ends. You need to be constantly pursuing something. Otherwise, you're going to turn into a, potato chip. You're not going to be a man. You're not going to have that drive, that desire, that fire that you need if you're going to be a good and holy Catholic husband. So pursue your wife once you're married. Continue to pursue her and pursue her relentlessly. Love her as much as you can. Number 28, sacrifice or stay single. You need to learn to discipline yourself. You need to learn to be making sacrifices chronically, mortifying your flesh. Jesus himself in Luke's gospel says, unless you take up your cross daily and follow me, you are not worthy of me. What does that mean? It means every day you need to be engaging in some small act of mortification. Every day you need to be making some sacrifice to our Lord, whether that's very intentional prayer, cold showers, fasting, doing a workout that you don't want to do, getting on a phone call when you don't want to get on that phone call. Whatever it may be, you need to have some way daily that you are mortifying yourself and sacrificing, carrying that cross. Otherwise, you will not be prepared to enter into marriage and fatherhood, because having children is a lifelong process of tiny crosses. Somebody's always crying. Somebody always needs a diaper change. Somebody always needs a snack. Somebody always needs to be held, etc., etc., etc. And you're not going to want to do it. That's what it is. Vocation. Marriage is a vocation. It's a saint-making machine. And the way that saints are made is through the cross. If you're going to be ready for that vocation, you have to learn to discipline yourself even before you enter into the vocation. Number 29, as a man, your faith must lead your family. There was a recent study done by the Pew Research Institute that showed that 85% of the children of men who were faithful remained faithful, even if their wives weren't. And 15% of the children of women who remained faithful when their husbands weren't remained faithful. What does that mean? It means there's an 85% chance if the husband is good, the children will be good. And there's a 15% chance if the wife is good, the children will be good. You have to be the emotional, the spiritual rock, the Peter, the bishop, the foundation of your family. And your virtues, your faith, your stability is going to be the limiting factor on how virtuous your wife and children can be. Not a hard and fast rule, but generally that's the way that it goes. Look at the Old Testament. If the king of Israel or the king of Judah is good, everyone prospers. Everyone does well. And if the king is wicked, everyone does poorly. It's the same thing in your family. If you are good, your wife and children will probably be good. If you are bad, your wife and children will probably be bad. And number 30, this one is absolutely imperative. You have to cultivate a relationship with the Holy Family. Our Lady of Fatima revealed that the final battle between the kingdom of heaven and Satan is over marriage and the family. And if we want to win family, we have to win fatherhood. And we have to have the Holy Family as our example. We have to have a relationship with the Blessed Virgin Mary, the model, the archetype of femininity and motherhood. We have to have a relationship with Joseph, the foster father of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the archetype of patriarchy, what it looks like to be a good and holy husband and father. We have to have those as our role models. We have to have the Holy Family, the family of Jesus Christ himself as our example. So we have something to aim at. So we know the direction that we're supposed to head. It is imperative that you start to develop a relationship with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And as a bonus here at the end, here are some red flags. If the person you're dating is doing this, dump them immediately. 1, does he or she mock your faith? Get rid of her. It's not good for you. Number 2, is he or she opposed to setting physical boundaries, setting a line that you shall not cross while you're dating? If he or she is, get rid of them. They're not ready. Number 3, does he or she have absolutely no relationship with Mary and is opposed to starting a relationship with the Blessed Virgin Mary? One of the great signs of predestination is a devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary. If he or she does not have that and is not even willing to think about it, get rid of them. They're bad for you. In other words, run. You are not their savior. Jesus Christ is their savior. It's not your job to make them holy. It's your job to give them occasions where God himself can work in them and make them holy. And if they're opposed to any of that, run away. So those are 30 brutally honest pieces of dating advice I wish I had when I was dating. If you want to see a complete guide to dating for the year 2025 that I put together, click on this video next, and we'll talk soon.